Yo, what is up guys, it is your boy Ferro, and today we're going to be talking about the possible rift or division between the world government and the Marines, and how these two sides may actually split up at some point in the story. First of all, we have to recognize that the world government is an entity that made up the Navy, therefore orders from the world government are absolute, especially if it's coming from a celestial dragon, given that they are the individuals that created the government in the first place. But where the problem lies is with Akainu and the new Admirals, except maybe Kizaru, because I don't know what he's going for honestly. But it's very clear at this point that Akainu and the Fujitora have something against the world government, especially when it comes down to the Shichibukai system. Akainu's hate for pirates having more authority than the Navy itself, since the warlords are allied with the government and not the Marines, and Fujitora's wish for the abolishment of the system itself. And I also think this idea would also apply to Green Bull. Remember that Fujitora and Green Bull are people that were not a part of the Marines but chosen by Akainu for the powers that the Navy lost. But I believe that Fujitora and Green Bull have something against the system and joined the Marines to change that. And this was also a question in the SBS, and I quote, could the two new Admirals, Green Bull and Fujitora, possibly have been created with the concept that despite them being people of the Marines, deep down inside they are both Admirals who secretly harbor ill feelings towards the world government, going against the world government kind of like pirates, as can be seen with Fujitora's wish to completely abolish their Shichibukai system set by the world government. Now, typical Oda dodges the question and trolls in response, but I feel like this question proves my point even more. The only reason one would want to become an admiral is because that position comes with power, and with power one can make changes. And I think this is the reason Akainu chose these two individuals that have these ideas that line up with his, but not exactly to the same extent. He chose people whose goals may eventually lead to something that could obstruct the entire system that the world government created, and having allies is something that could support him if the time ever comes to revolt against world government. And Akainu may be that person who will cause the rift between the government and the Marines. An example would be his interaction with the Gorosei, as he does have some distaste for the celestial dragons themselves. While Akainu is the leader of the Marines, there are people who hold more power than him within the government, and these people use their power over him in ways he doesn't like. And this would cause the rift that would split up the Marines and the government into two completely separate entities that do not work along, and this would be the first time in 800 years that the Marines would not follow the orders of the government, and at the center of this plan would be Akainu. Now, this would obviously not sit above the Gorosei or the Celestial Dragons. This could result in a battle between the government and the Marines, and this is the only time I could believe the theory that the Gorosei are like Pirate King level or like Yonko level. You know, shout out to Anime Fan Talk. You know, while the Gorosei may look like puppets, they are still ranked higher than the Fleet Admiral and the Commander-in-Chief position. Sometimes status could also mean power in terms of combat ability. The Gorosei might prove themselves to be extremely powerful in combat. Just because there might be an imbalance in power among pirates doesn't mean there won't be one between the Navy and the government, especially with Akainu as Fleet Admiral. The throne wars could be a lot bigger than we think, and let's not forget about the Dragon and the Revolutionary. And in terms of how the story progresses, this is the reason why I think Akainu is deserving of the Fleet Admiral position more than Aokiji, even though Akainu is more vicious and the most radical out of any known admiral. However, we have to realize that this is an age where pirates are the most rampant, especially after the fact that Roger said that the One Piece does exist, which made things even crazier. And we are dealing with pirates like Jack, who goes to places, burns, kills, and tortures people just for fun. Akainu is the ideal Fleet Admiral at this point in time. I could even argue that he's the current legend of the Marines right now. His action would push the Navy to greater heights, and when it comes down to the Straw Hats, he's gonna make the Straw Hats struggle even more, which in return would make the end result of them reaching and attaining that goal even more satisfying than ever. While people may hate Akainu, his actions later in the story might put him in a different light, but that's just my 2 cents. But comment down below what you guys think, like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more One Piece content. It is Ferro guys, and I will see you guys later. Peace.